my channel. Today I'm going to be building kind of like a little shack in The Sims 4. I'm doing this for the Werewolves pack. I had noticed a lot of the times your werewolves get super upset with sleeping indoors. Like, they absolutely hate it. They get really stressed out and it makes them even more like rampagey. So I decided that I was gonna do like a little outside living situation for a werewolf. I did get inspiration for the idea from, I think it was on Twitter. I do not remember where I found the post, who it was for, or anything like that. It was just like I was quick scrolling through it for like 2 minutes, and I was just like, oh, that's like a really smart idea. And then after seeing how difficult werewolves can be, I was like, that's actually maybe an amazing idea. So I'm kind of going through a build by. I pick and choose what I wanted. First, I really went into this having no idea what I was doing, what I was going to be making, so I'm fiddling a lot with things. First, I started with just like having this big building that was open to the outside. I absolutely hated it. I hated how the roof looked, how chunky it was. So in the end, I actually am really happy with how this turned out. I used a lot of debug. I did use, I think, quite a few packs. I do know that I used Outdoor Retreat just because I wanted to use the fire pit for it. But I tried my best to limit myself with packs. I didn't want to use too many, and I think I did a fairly good job. I first decided that I wanted to use this eco lifestyle type tent piece to make everything like be under that, and I ended up changing it to adding walls and doing the columns and stuff like that, so it's still completely open. I actually am really excited to like play on this lot because I just think it's so nice. I added tons of debug, so there's all kinds of trees and plants that came with debug for the new werewolf pack, and I absolutely love them. I had to use them. I am using some of Strangerville because I really wanted to use that tub shower combo because I just felt like it really fit with the aesthetic of my build, so I did use that. It's really only for that, so if you don't need that shower or tub, you don't have to have it, so you can still download this lot and you'll just have to put down your own shower. I did size down the end tables and I did get the trunks, and I sized that down too because they were just so large. I tried using the trunks as like a little coffee table type thing. It was too big, so I kind of sized it down and I placed it somewhere. I think I ended up moving it at the end of the bed at the end of the video, but I just really liked how this turned out, and I think it's an amazing idea because it's still outside, like it's open to things, but they can go under stuff. So I'm hoping that maybe this works out. There's tons of skill building items, so I ended up putting in like the wood guitar, there's gardening, I have workout stuff. I ended up putting the bathroom over behind the porta potties because first off, I really didn't want you to see it that much, but I still wanted it to go with the style of what I was doing, but I didn't want you to see it. So I kind of put it back there, and then I put a bunch of trees and stuff around it so you don't really see it, but it still goes with the vibe of everything. And this is when I kind of decided that I was just going to do the columns and stuff because I didn't want the whole place to be just super open. So I actually used those curtains and I added them to two sides. On the side where the bed is, I ended up putting 2 bookcases, so it kind of enclosed the area a little bit, but it still made it open, and there is no issues when you have the walls down. You can still, or half down, you can still see everything. There's no issues, no interference. And I know sometimes when I'm building, if I have too much stuff in my way, I cannot play. It is too distracting for me. So I tried to make it to where it was appealing to look and play in, and it wasn't so annoying, if that makes sense. So this is me kind of adding some extra barriers. I wanted it to be functional, obviously. Like, you're going to be playing in this. You don't want it to just look appealing with the style, but you also want it to be functional. So I go through debug a lot, just finding all kinds of different items. There's so many nice items in this debug if you want super grungy stuff, and also the trees and stuff that they have in it is actually really, really nice. It does remind me a lot of Outdoor Retreat, and some of the trees are absolutely massive. Obviously, some of the trees look a little iffy on like the tree part, like the green part, and not the actual trunk itself, because debug is technically items that are not finished. Technically, that's all supposed to be items that are for the outside of the world that we don't have access to building, but it still has some really nice items. So I ended up putting this large tree trunk. I thought it was kind of a nifty idea. I added a bunch of dirt, and those grass pieces are so nice. I used that all over the place, but I really wanted it to seem like outdoorsy, cluttered, and I ended up naming this the Wood Mill Shack. So I thought maybe this was like a place that they had a wood mill, they took down trees, they stored all of the lumber and stuff like that here, and it just kind of got abandoned, and your sim just decided to move themselves in here because it was away from everybody. They weren't going to be bothered. They could do really whatever they wanted. And I just like that idea. So there's like a lot of trees, a lot of trash. It's really grungy, kind of dirty. I ended up adding these fences individually, and I absolutely love them. I think it added a lot to the lot, and it really filled out the whole area. I wanted it to have like a fullness to it. I didn't want to have just like big open empty spaces. So there's tons and tons of plants and stuff like that around, and I'm not exactly sure how much it is. I was just kind of freely building to do whatever I wanted, and I really just absolutely love how this turned out. But I'm kind of adding extra things. You can see it really coming along. I have like the scary werewolf signs and stuff like that. I'm just assuming that this lot is probably a starter home, just because all of the items in the werewolf pack is super, super cheap, and a lot of the items that I did place down is debug, so it's free. So I'm pretty sure that it's probably starter home. So yeah, now I'm adding a lot more pieces from the werewolf pack. I kind of wanted to use that like bar, but I figured that might be a little too much, and I wanted it to be kind of all over the place. I didn't want to have like structured things. So you can see a lot of the items aren't straight. They're all on angles and crooked and stuff like that, and that's how I wanted it to be. And I figured the bar was A, too big, and B, too structured. I don't know. That's just what I was thinking. So I'm adding a lot more terrain paint and stuff like that, and I made like a little path. I think the terrain paint honestly was a game changer for this, and it really brought everything together. I just love it. I think that this is a perfect place for your werewolf to kind of live out their days and guide the pack, and I don't know, I just really like it, and I hope that it's useful for you guys, because the whole point of it was to not have such a grumpy werewolf sim, and I don't know if that will make it possible. I don't know if it's still going to consider it being indoors, probably, but maybe it's just more fun to play with. I did end up adding kind of like a half kitchen, so it's the fridge, stove, and I have a teeny tiny countertop. The sink is over by the bathroom. I didn't feel like adding another sink. I didn't think that it looked really nice. So I tried putting it over here with this little concrete barrier, but I thought that it still looked really, really weird, and it was too structured to be outside with everything, the way that everything else was built and kind of placed and stuff like that. So I moved things around a little bit, and I ended up placing it like inside the living area. and I just kind of move things around, so stuff's a little tight, but I think it just made more sense to place it there, and I ended up adding more curtains behind like the kitchen area, so it's a little bit more enclosed. And this is me placing a few added things. There is so many skill building items, so your sim can really do whatever they want. They could be a gardener, they can be a freaking like gym rat, they can build all kinds of stuff. So if you really wanted to, you could just create more furniture through the woodworking and you would be all set to go. I did add some outside lighting. I am using the outdoor retreat lighting, and I ended up deleting the fake lights that were from Debug because I thought that this just made more sense of it was actually useful. So I think that you might actually be able to live on this lot without any electricity or water. I think you could do that. So if you really wanted to make werewolves even more challenging, you could live off the grid if you really wanted to. So I didn't want to add like too much electricity items really, just because the fact that you're living outdoors, I feel like it's kind of in an area where you're not gonna have that type of thing. So I honestly kind of in my mind wanted it to be an off the grid lot. I didn't make it off the grid for any of the lot traits or anything like that because I don't remember which lot traits are base game or not. So I didn't want to add any lot traits and then add a bunch of weird packs that I didn't actually use in build mode. So that's just what I ended up doing, but we're getting close to the end here, just adding a few extra pieces. I hope that you liked this build. If you did, it's on my gallery at Build-A-Brie. You can see all of my builds that I have uploaded there. But yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Bye!